Well, we've been talking about it for 2 weeks at this point, and it does look like the Politico got it absolutely spot on that Biden was going to do an announcement on Sunday, potentially about dropping out of the race. So, hey, good job to Politico there. Um, while this, of course, I think is good news. Don't get me wrong. I still think Biden could have won against Donald Trump. I really do think he could have won. Um, I think Biden does leave quite a good legacy in some areas, not all areas, mind you, but overall, Biden really was not a bad president for America. And remember, whoever goes next, and remember at this moment in time, it is still whoever goes next, and we'll get into that in a moment. Whoever goes next will have to really defend Biden's legacy of what he did when he was in office. It's inevitable. But Biden does have a lot of achievements, of course. Afghanistan, the CHIP Act, the American sort of green investment sort of stuff, and the subsidies that are being offered there. There's a lot of stuff going on there that doesn't tend to get too much information because partly, of course, it's about a big sort of transition into like green energy and sort of green industries of the future. And of course, well, Republicans don't want to really talk about that, do they? But something again, whoever comes next probably should really be definitely talking about. And I have to say this, Biden's now gone, and the real question now becomes, and something we're going to talk about in the rest of this video, what happens now? Because that is what we are probably going to see happen over the next coming sort of days and even weeks. Who do they go with? So before they start sort of talking about this, let's go and remember to click on the let's go Brandon, but not anymore. There's going to be a lot of suspicious, very cheap merchandise on that. That's for sure. But please do remember to click on the like and of course the share button, and of course down below there's a link to my Patreon page, the Buy Me Coffee link where you can buy me coffee, and of course as always there is the YouTube thank you button, and of course the Pony Club down below as well. So yeah, Kamala Harris, is she what comes next? At this moment in time, that is still not certain. That is still not certain. So far, of course, Biden, when he stepped down, endorsed Kamala. And we've also had the Clintons come out as well. So in terms of big Democratic, backing, getting those two names behind you is a really, really good endorsement. But remember, for the past 2 weeks, there have been constant discussions about this. Well, if we get rid of Biden, who do we go with next? Remember, the names that have been thrown around are not necessarily Kamala Harris. So remember that. Even though she does have that backing, it's not necessarily a guarantee, because you've still got potentially maybe Gavin Newsom decides, right, this is my time. I am going to run. He might very well decide that in the next couple of days. Gretchen Whitmer, also another name now being thrown around as well. She could also decide, you know what? If it's an open convention, which we'll get into in a moment as well, if it's an open convention, you know what? This is my time. I am going to run. I'm going to put my hat in the ring. And this becomes, in very, very much, in some respects, this should have already happened a long, long time ago. But it was a lot of the donors who this time last year were ignoring the calls of having a convention, of opening this up, and instead saying, no, Biden should run again for a second term. So it is not written in stone yet. Let me just say this. It is not written in stone yet that it is going to be Harris who is the Democratic nominee. It is not written in stone yet. And this is where the danger comes in, because there's two scenarios here, ironically, that mirror two also very recent UK prime ministers. So first of all, we could go with what happened to Theresa May. Kamala Harris, no one opposes her. No one gets in her way. No one, stands up and says, I'm going to throw my hat in the ring. Gavin Newsom doesn't throw his hat in the ring. She stands there. She goes in unopposed. And what happened to Theresa May? Well, Theresa May, from day one, had legitimacy problems. Many in their people in her own party wanted other candidates to sort of stand up and be their candidate, be their champion. That did not happen. So as a result, they felt that almost, Theresa May winning by a de facto, because she was the only candidate, they felt that they didn't really have to have that loyalty, that they didn't have that legitimacy. And Theresa May had a lot of problems in that regard. That is absolutely sure. If you've watched any of my videos from back then, Theresa May had a lot of issues trying to sort that out. Now, the other thing is, maybe you could also see a Rishi Sunak scenario. Just remember, after Liz Truss fell, all the MPs gathered around Rishi Sunak and said, we do not want this to go to the membership because, well, the membership chose Boris Johnson, it chose Liz Truss, and in a direct competition, if this went to the membership, it would be Boris versus Rishi, and we've seen the polls, we know the membership would choose Boris again. So we are going to stop it going to the polls. Now, of course, I don't think you can do that. Our sort of, competition is very different. And I think this speaks to another problem that AOC brought up in her live stream that she did a couple of days ago. There is an argument to be made that whoever you replace Biden with, voters may or may not necessarily switch to whoever you pick. I think that is still very much a legitimate argument. I think that is an entirely possibility. Again, depending on who they go with the candidate with. Kamala Harris does have some very good numbers in the different support. That would be very good. There's a lot of stuff they could do with Kamala Harris running on a number of things, so that would be very good as well. So, we've now got this waiting game to wait and see. But remember what happened to Rishi Sunak. The membership hated the fact. In fact, they are now. In fact, I think this is what is stopping the current Conservative leadership election over here. That they are trying to sort of figure out how can we maybe lessen the power of the membership because they are worried, and I think honestly this does go to a two-horse race between Kimmy Badenoch and Tom Tugendhat, and they don't want the membership to be as annoyed as they were when they did that with Rishi Sunak. So maybe they're looking at maybe ways they can limit, shall we say, the voting potential of that. So it's basically sort of carrying it forward that whoever goes in has this many votes from MPs, and maybe if you even add the membership vote, well, it doesn't beat the MPs. We'll see what happens over here. Don't worry. So if you want to follow all that stuff, do hit the subscribe button because it's going to be very interesting, certainly in a few days over here when we see the Conservative leadership race kick off. But also, what happens here, we don't know. Remember, at this moment in time, doing this video, Obama has not come out to endorse Harris. So we do not know what that is going to do. And Obama carries a lot of weight. His voice will carry a lot of weight in what happens next. So what happens next? I don't know. It is not set in stone that he's going to be, Kamala Harris as the Dems pick. But so far, the chiselers, shall we say, are working away, on that stone, trying to sort of get that put in. We'll see what happens certainly over the next week or so, but they do not have a lot of time to get this sorted out. So we'll see. But I do probably think that it might be very much Kamala Harris with another maybe VP pick. Maybe even might be, Harris Newsom. Could be. Who knows? But we'll wait and see what happens on this front. But, you know, it is the big question of now what do they do? And, the Democratic Party is now in that sort of mode where they are doing that. And we will see what happens over the next sort of again coming weeks, but they haven't got long to decide. So expect this decision to be probably made pretty quick, but definitely watch what Obama does. Does he get behind Harris, or does he go support another candidate, or does he call for an open convention? Who knows? But if you want to find out what happens next, watch what Obama does very closely. So far at the moment, again, at the time of doing this video, he hasn't done anything yet. So we'll see what he does, certainly as well, over the next coming days as well. So, but as always, let me know what you think down below as well. And of course, as always, you can click the like and the share button. And of course, as always, there's the Patreon page, there's the Buy Me Coffee link where you can buy me coffee, the YouTube thank you button, and of course, there's the Pony Club down below as well. So as always, we'll see you all next time.